going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, here to do an epic dogfight for you guys. Actually, it may not be epic because it's just messaging phones, but if there were such a thing as an epic messaging phone and therefore an epic messaging phone dogfight, this would be it. LG View Plus, Sharp FX, both on AT&T, both what you could call high-end messaging devices, and we're going to put them head to head. We've done reviews on both of them, and people have asked, which one should I get? Which one is better? Should I get the View Plus? Should I get the Sharp FX? This video is to help you guys decide. So it's the Sharp FX, LG View Plus, AT&T. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Let's go check it out. Okay, so on the left side here is the Sharp FX, and on the right is the LG View Plus, both from AT&T. And just from a physical point of view, you can see the Sharp FX is definitely bigger than the LG View Plus. Obviously it's taller, it is a little bit wider. You know, just overall the Sharp FX is more bulky than the LG View Plus. Of course, that might not bother some people. I personally prefer the sleek, smaller design of the LG View Plus, but that's, you know, mostly a matter of personal opinion. In terms of, you know, numbers and size, the View Plus is 4.3 inches tall, and the Sharp FX is 4.5. So it's just slightly taller, but the Sharp FX weighs 5 ounces, whereas the View Plus is only a little less than 4. So the Sharp FX is definitely the bigger phone, definitely has more real estate, that's for sure. But the screen size is the same. Both have a 3-inch capacitive touchscreen display. And so, you know, in terms of the touchscreen responsiveness, I actually had a little bit better responsiveness from the Sharp FX capacitive touchscreen as opposed to the LG View Plus. But this was only, you know, during certain times. But I'm gonna still say that I prefer the Sharp FX's touchscreen because of what I'm about to tell you. You notice when you swipe, you know, it doesn't always respond very well. So you see, it kind of had to do it a couple times. So, you know, in that sense, it does kind of cause a problem. But the reason why I prefer it still is because going back to the View Plus, if I go to say a menu, say my contacts, and when I want to slide through them, it has this weird thing where whenever you're scrolling through, it will kind of just keep scrolling even after you've told it to stop. So, you know, say I wanted to scroll and then stop, sometimes it still keeps going, sometimes, you know, farther than others. And so it does kind of get annoying. You know, it may not seem like it just from watching it right now, but it's a big enough deal to where I mentioned it. And so that definitely gets really annoying when I'm going through any list, whether it's the contacts, messages, or just, you know, any menu where you're scrolling through. It just, you know, it can kind of get annoying. And so, and it does that. I can't find any way to change it. So in that sense, the screen on the Sharp FX is definitely better. Even though I did have a few problems with it, I definitely had better response with the FX compared to the View Plus. In terms of, you know, basic resolution, it's the same. Both have a resolution of 240 by 400. I do think that colors show up better on the Sharp FX, but you know, since it's the same resolution, same technology, you know, obviously it should be the same, but it just seems like colors are clearer. It seems like text is clear. It just seems like the Sharp FX has a better looking screen. It really is beautiful compared to the View Plus. And that's not to say that the View Plus doesn't look good. It looks great just like any other messaging phone, but it just seemed like the FX did look better. Going on to, you know, more hardware, get into the keyboard, but first of all, let me just give you a basic tour. They do the FX has a 3.5mm headphone jack, whereas the View Plus does not. It only has this proprietary, or actually micro USB. And so that's really a bummer. I think, you know, for a phone that costs as much as the View Plus does, it's $150, and it has great specs. It has that capacitive touchscreen, has a 3 megapixel camera, but yet it doesn't have the 3.5mm headphone jack. And that I don't really understand, and so I think that, you know, again, the Sharp FX definitely has an advantage there in having that 3.5mm headphone jack. Okay, so moving on to the physical keyboards, both of them have
Very nice physical keyboards, very well designed. You can see it's not the basic cheap keyboard that you see on a lot of basic messaging phones these days, but they are definitely very well designed. The View Plus's keyboard is more flat. You'll notice it's not raised very much. There's definitely no doming, even though you can see sort of on the edge there kind of a slight angle, but it's really, you can't really feel that. And so for the most part, the keys are just flat, except for the space bar has slightly more doming. You see that? But for the most part, it's just flat, whereas the keys on the Sharp FX are definitely domed a lot more. Kind of, the best way to describe it is they look like bubbles on the keyboard. And so, I think that may just be, personal preference, and really typing on both keyboards was fine. One thing that I think works to the FX's advantage is this wall that's built by the chin on either side, on the top and the bottom. So it kind of just gives you more of a sturdy hold on the keyboard and kind of makes it, a little more solid whenever you're typing on it. And then going back to this, I kind of felt weird without having that. It's just kind of an open space here. But really, I think in terms of keyboard, they're definitely both very well designed. You can see you have navigational arrows on both of them. Both of them have dedicated comma and period keys, which I really like. I prefer having them next to each other like it is on the View Plus, but at least just having it is nice. Function. On the View Plus, you do have these shortcut keys for messaging, IMing, but it's not too big of a deal not having it on the Sharp FX. But I think the keyboard on both, they're both really well designed, and typing on both of them, even though they are different styles, it was great on both of them. Getting to messaging, they both also have threaded text messaging, so I'll go over to the messaging interface and show you. You can see the menu is a little bit different, and on the View Plus you can change the color theme to a lighter theme, a lighter display theme. You can also do the same thing on the Sharp FX, but it doesn't affect the menu here. The menu will always be black, whereas on the View Plus you can change it to a lighter theme. But anyway, going back to messaging. Okay, so here you can see this is one conversation that both phones had with each other. But so the Sharp FX has different colors. It's alternating colors between the sent message and the and the received message, whereas on the LG View Plus it's all the same color, though it is, each message is offset from the other. But both have threaded text messaging. I think that colors are better, a little bit easier to differentiate, but it's definitely not a big deal because they both have the same basic design. So both phones have a camera on the back here. So you see the LG View Plus has a 3-megapixel camera with a flash, as you can see. It also captures video. It also has autofocus and 2x digital zoom. So definitely a nice camera. 3 megapixels. That's about the highest you're going to see on a messaging phone, and with a flash, definitely good. And then having the autofocus, a really nice high quality camera. Then I'll show you some pictures later on. Sharp FX comes with only a 2-megapixel camera with video capture and 4x digital zoom. And I talked about this in the review for the Sharp FX. I really think 2 megapixels with no flash and no autofocus is just inadequate for a phone of this caliber, charging $150. And it's obviously a very well-designed phone. They obviously wanted this to be a high-end messaging phone, but they give it such a puny camera. And, going on that, and I will say that the View Plus's camera definitely is much better. We'll go over to some pictures here. Okay, so here is a picture taken by, each phone. It's the same picture. You can see it's the same flower. White balance is a little off on the Sharp FX, and of course I didn't do anything. I didn't change anything manually because I wanted it to be just standard. What quality would you get without tweaking anything? Because I did the same thing with the LG View Plus, and so you can see that the View Plus definitely took a much better picture. The color just shows up much better. and also because it has that autofocus, it just has the ability to focus better whenever you're doing a close-up shot. Okay, so here's another picture taken by both cameras. And you can't really tell from the from this video, and I'll try to get these pictures uploaded and then put them directly in the video, but I'm not promising anything. But it focuses much better on the View Plus just because it has that autofocus and it being 3 megapixels as opposed to 2 megapixels. Now this picture is fine. It actually captured everything very clearly. It's definitely a good camera. For close-up shots. For shots from a distance, I noticed that the quality wasn't as good. But it's a fine enough camera. It's just compared to a 3 megapixel camera with a flash, that has autofocus, the View Plus is definitely much better. And I know that, for messaging, the camera may not be something that you worry about very much, but I think it's worth noting, just considering that the View Plus has such a good camera. I really can't say enough about that. Compared to the Sharp FX, obviously. I know there's phones out there that have like 5 megapixel cameras and 8 megapixel cameras, but just comparing these two phones, the View Plus definitely has a better camera. So going over to the menu, you'll notice that both of the phones have similar multimedia features because they are on AT&T, and so both of them have mobile email. You have this Facebook app on the Sharp FX, which doesn't come on the View Plus, but both of them do have live TV, so you can have live TV with that, mobile web, and then SocialNet, AT&T SocialNet, so you can connect to Twitter, Facebook. So, features, multimedia features are basically the same. Now moving on to battery, the battery is underneath here, and I may not be able to get it off, which isn't a big deal. The Sharp FX has a 1240 milliamp hour battery, and the View Plus has a 950 milliamp hour battery. And so, I noticed that the View Plus battery performance really wasn't that good, probably just because it's given such an underpowered battery. I mean, it's really not fair to the phone to only give it a 950 milliamp hour battery. I mean, even most basic feature phones have 1000 milliamp hour battery. So the Sharp FX obviously lasted much longer. I got nearly 2 days of standard use, whereas the View Plus was only about a day or a day and a half. And so, kind of disappointing, but there it is. The Sharp FX performed better. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys, and really it's a hard one to pick the winner because they both have great features. But just to summarize, I think the touchscreen on the Sharp FX is better than on the View Plus, just in responsiveness, and also what I talked about with the scrolling problem on the View Plus. It did get annoying after a while, and so I think the View Plus has a better screen. However, the Sharp FX has a better screen. However, the View Plus definitely has a much better camera with a 3 megapixel, the autofocus, and the flash compared to the Sharp FX's 2 megapixel camera. In terms of keyboards, that's really a draw because they both have great keyboards, and I think, that's probably just up to personal preference. I really can't pick a winner because they're both definitely good keyboards. And when it comes to overall design, I think, I prefer the View Plus because it's thinner, it's not as heavy, it's just smaller, whereas the Sharp FX is kind of bulky. It's really more squarish. But, that's really just compared to the View Plus. If you just had it, just looking at it by itself, you probably wouldn't think that because it does have a very nice design. Another thing that the Sharp FX has going for it is its 3.5mm headphone jack, whereas the View Plus doesn't even have a 2.5, it's only micro USB. So, again, the Sharp FX has a higher expandable memory. It can go up to 32 gigs, whereas the View Plus is only 16 gigs. So, both of them have great things going for it. I think really what it comes down to basically is just preference in physical size, because really I think the Sharp FX does perform better, except for the camera, but the View Plus has just, to me, a more streamlined design. So anyway, I'll leave it up to you guys, and you can go check them out right now at AT&T. The Sharp FX right now is going for $100, and the View Plus is $150. that may change, or you may be able to get it for a better price depending on where you look. And so, thanks so much, guys, for watching. And if you have any other questions about these two phones, you can just ask us in the forums at phonedog.com, or you can follow me on Twitter, or you can also check out our Facebook page and ask us any questions there. So thank you again, guys, for watching. Be sure and check out phonedog.com for more news, updates, and reviews. I'm Sydney, and I'll see you guys later.